Call the meeting to order at 6:30. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Pierce,
Present.
trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Peterson,
Here.
trustee Bluthart.
Here.
Trustee Berman.
Here.
We have trustee Dominiac on Zoom. And Mayor Gardner.
Present. First item on the agenda is the approval of the August 11th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes and as presented. Motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Motion trustee Peterson, second trustee Bluthart. Any discussion? If not, roll please.
Hold
Pierce?
on, hold on. Is this the part where we're writing the letter? Or is that in the, I forget which one, because we got two meetings here. This isn't the one where we wrote a letter to the state, right? This for this traffic speed, that's the village, that's the. I didn't make notes which minutes were village board minutes or the cow
It
meeting.
was the cow meeting, I believe. Yeah, it was item number 3 on the cow meeting, which would be on page 4.
So whichever ones that I'd like those letters attached that we wrote to the states as part of the minutes.
Wouldn't be a part of that minute, would it? Because you were just asking for them. It wasn't.
Yeah, I would like somehow that would be part of record.
Are you talking
I'm
about?
asking council to have that part of record because every time we ask for action to be part of minutes, we never get a following action. So we put them in the minutes to have an action item, but there's no follow-up action item to the board to receive copy of those minutes. You know, the letters written to the state reps.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
you want them? Oh, sorry. go on.
Good.
Do you want them inserted in the next set of minutes and we approve these minutes?
However they get
Yeah,
put in,
yeah.
however they get put in. Because every time, because the last time from the former administration.
Sure.
They never get put in.
Yeah.
So as we approve these, they're put in the next minutes, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm dandy with that.
yeah.
And let me add, just for clarification, are you talking about the letter that was written previously or the letter that Jimmy?
No, the recent letter
Okay.
to all the state reps and every single letter that was written to every single state rep. So the state,
And all the officials.
And
all the state reps, right?
That's
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm good with that.
Okay. Any other discussion on the minutes? All right, roll please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Bluthart.
Yes.
Berman.
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no, motion carries. All right, I feel like you guys are here every week lately. So next item on the agenda is the oath of office for a new officer, Officer Michaela Zamora. I'll ask Chief Gutchow to do the swearing in.
Here. Are you changing precedent? Michaela, is your uncle here with us? Uncle Neil, come on up. We should be able to hopefully clear out the room here relatively shortly. I was a little confused. I thought I was at a fire department meeting for a second. Real work getting done. So your honor, village trustees, fellow staff, and community members. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce Antioch's newest police officer, Michaela Zamora. Michaela comes to our department as a lateral transfer applicant after having spent over 4 years as a public safety officer with the village of Bunko. Where in addition to serving as a law enforcement officer, she also served as a paramedic and a firefighter. In 2019, Michaela joined the Antioch First Fire Protection District, and since that time, she has been applying her skills towards serving our local community. Through her interactions, she has shared with the members of the Antioch Police Department. She has learned that the Antioch PD shares in her passion for community service, which has ultimately helped guide her towards her decision to join the Antioch PD family. Michaela lives in McHenry with her husband, Tony, who has joined us here tonight. During her time off, she enjoys spending time with her family and being outdoors with their 5 dogs. Yeah, 5. Also in attendance tonight are Michaela's parents, Kathy and Jim, and her Aunt Dawn and Uncle Neil, who has joined us up front this evening, as well as several friends and colleagues. I'd like to also recognize each of you for supporting Michaela in her pursuit of this next important chapter in her life. With that, I would now ask the clerk to swear Michaela in as the Village of Antioch's newest police officer.
a paramedic, that's coming from the good side.
Doesn't happen this way often.
It's coming from the good side.
I, Michaela Zamora, having been appointed as patrol officer of the village of Antioch Police Department in the county of Lake, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of patrol officer to the best of my ability. I will.
It's like prom.
Congratulations.
Karen is that.
No.
No, it doesn't. Makes him a great guy. Means he's proud of you.
All right, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Michaela, and welcome. Thank you very much. Next item on the committee of the whole agenda is just some mayoral acknowledgements. And the first acknowledgement is September 6th is payroll week, where we honor those who work in different payroll departments and keep that moving along for us. And secondly, I would like to acknowledge, she's here with us, Heather Frenzel, who has started with the Economic Development Task Force and other groups, the Shop Antioch movement, which over time has become a very, I guess, popular group, well received in the town, did a lot of things to set in motion the marketing efforts that the village is putting together now. So again, I'd like to again acknowledge and thank Heather for all the hard work and dedication that she has put in, not only in creating Shop Antioch and managing that platform, but also in her participation with the Economic Development Task Force on a continual basis. So again, she is a store owner of Heirloom Antiques, and she also has basically rallied all of the retailers in Antioch to come together in one group for to invigorate the downtown shopping experience. So thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate it. Any citizens wishing to address the board? Since we are back on Zoom, we will read the how to participate remotely.
If you're joining from a telephone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. On an Android or iOS device, tap more than raise hand, and on a computer, click raise hand in the Zoom controls.
And we will have another opportunity to address the board during the regular meeting. So moving on to regular business, the only item we have on the agenda tonight for the COW meeting is an ordinance waiving permit fees for other taxing bodies, nonprofits, schools, and churches. Motion in a second.
I'll make the motion.
Discussion on this? I'm sorry. We have discussion on this ordinance, proposed ordinance. This is, I believe this came up last meeting when we were discussing waiving the permit fees for the library project. So our staff has said administratively, it would be better if we had a general ordinance versus piecemeal per project, but I'll let Mr. Garrigan explain further.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pursuant to our previous discussions, as we discussed, I think there was some general discussion and I think some support about the potential of bringing to the board a potential ordinance which would allow staff administratively to waive application fees as relates to zoning and also building permit fees for governmental bodies, i.e. the school district, the library, other governmental bodies, and not-for-profits, which would obviously include religious assemblies and not-for-profits. So based on that, we worked with the village attorney to come up with a proposed ordinance that we think comprehensively would allow us to, again, to waive certain fees. Again, for the record, I think it's also incorporating the ordinance, specific fees, anything that what we call a pass-through fee that would have any type of fiscal impact on the village would not be waived, i.e. A tap-on fee, which is a cost to any type of consulting fees. Those fees would be passed on to the governmental body. As an example, we just drafted an easement agreement with the Antioch Library. There was actually a fee related to coming up with a new legal description, and that fee was passed on to the library. But as it relates to future building fees and things like that, we would, based on subject to board support, we would have the prerogative to waive those fees. So we would not have to bring those waivers back to the village board for review. As you know, we've always historically brought those waivers individually to the board. The board's been pretty consistent in supporting those waivers. The question is really a policy issue. Are you comfortable with based on this ordinance, to allow us to waive these fees based on the terms of the proposed ordinance? So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Trustee Pierce?
I have no objection, Your Honor. I think it's a good idea that we don't essentially hit the taxpayers twice, because if we're taxing another body, essentially, we're taking away what that body can provide the taxpayer. So I think just make it simple and easy and be done with it.
Trustee Masek?
I said the same at the last meeting.
Trustee Peterson?
I have no objection to this.
Trustee Bluthart?
I guess my only question would be is, if we were to pass this ordinance, it would make it where wouldn't even come up for discussion at the village level, any waiving of any fees for any of these groups.
That's as long as it's consistent with the terms of the ordinance. That's correct. That's correct. That we, with the limited parameters as outlined by the ordinance, we're basically again talking about generally building permit fees and zoning entitlement fees. So if they come in for a variance, come in for a special use, rezoning, we would not charge them an application fee. If they have a building permit, we would not charge them for a building permit fee. So based on the ordinance, we would not bring those waivers individually for your consideration. That's correct.
I guess my only concern would be if there were an issue that came up that needed to be discussed. Is there a way of having that discussion if this ordinance is passed? I mean, I'm not assuming there's anything right now, but I'm just saying if something did pop up and it was a concern for a trustee or a couple trustees, with this ordinance in place, we wouldn't have the ability to even discuss it. The waiver would just go through, if I'm reading this correctly.
Well, I think anything in the gray area, if there's any type of interpretation issue, we would, as consistent with what we've always done, we would bring it to the board for review, interpretation. I mean, if it's a judgment call, if staff has some concerns or reservations, I think historically we always bring those questions before the board. So it is theoretically possible we still bring it to the board. But as a general rule, or the protocol would be to waive that. But if there's a complicating factor, there's a potential that you would see waivers again.
I mean, probably 99.9% of these I wouldn't disagree with. The idea of taking any discussion away from the board on the issue, or not even being able to bring it up for discussion, it just goes through as a waiver, is kind of troubling to me. But I mean, I don't know if there would be a way of putting something into there that allows for a trustee to call it out or not. I don't know.
You can't, we can, sorry.
For the record, you are not waiving your opportunity to have review at all the zoning. So you still, like the school came in for a site plan review, obviously you would review that. We're only talking about fees. We're not talking about.
Oh, I understand that. I understand.
So we could put something in there that this doesn't prohibit a full and frank discussion with regards to anything that's under the jurisdiction of this. I think, but I also don't think that this would in any way prohibit you guys bringing something up, or the board bringing something up, excuse me, to discussion. I don't think there's, ordinances get exceptions through codified and uncodified ordinances get exception through all the time, such as this. So you could always bring it up, but if you want, and the chair's okay and the board's okay with it, if you want language in there that says that this doesn't prohibit a discussion on these matters on a case by case basis, there'd be nothing.
Like a discussion's one thing, but if it's an automatic,
discussion
if
would
it's
be-
an automatic approval, then it doesn't, the discussion's not gonna change anything either.
And I think that there's somewhat of a disconnect whether this is supposed to be a broad blanket thing or you want to bring this up every time.
I think that's where I'm a little-
Let me ask a suggestion of this. Could we, if we pass the ordinance, can we make it a policy to just, if we have a list of these, put them on the consent agenda, and then if there's a trustee with an issue, they could ask for it to be removed, so that,
Yeah, that's
Does that work? Okay.
yeah, no, that works perfectly.
Yeah.
I just want the option of be able to, if something is
so we don't-
troubling for whatever reason, to be able to discuss it and have a vote on it if we need to.
Sure,
Fine, we can bring them to the consent agenda.
sure. And then if somebody wants it removed, they could ask for it. to
Well,
be
that's what I'm saying. I just want, just probably will never happen, but I just,
Sure. Okay. Trustee Berman?
No objections.
All right, so any objection for with that slight revision, bringing this to the next regular board meeting?
Not at all.
no.
All right, with that, is there any other business for the cow meeting? We have one other item that I have no objection to, and it's a special use liquor license for Oakwood Knolls on September 11th. They have a barbecue corn roast at their park. So they're requesting a special use liquor license from one day from noon until 5 PM, I believe. So I just want to bring that up. If there's no objection, we'll move that to the next meeting for approval as well.
When's the next meeting?
The 8th. No, our next meeting is the 8th, so we'll be able to approve it on the 8th. Yeah, yeah. And if there's no objection, we can issue the license prior to that, but just for housekeeping.
Corn roast? Out of season.
All right, any other business for the cow meeting? If not, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Second,
Motion by trustee Bluthart, second by trustee Peterson. Roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no, motion carries. All right, since such a short meeting, move right into the regular meeting. All right, call the regular meeting to order at 6:49 PM. A roll call, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Luther.
Here.
Berman.
Here.
And trustee Dominiac is absent. Mayor Gardner.
Present. Mayoral report, just briefly, I just want to address, over the last week and a half, I've received multiple complaints from residents or concerns regarding the paving job on Route 173, which it was completed by the state and IDOT. And based on those concerns, I did have a phone call with our state rep, Joyce Mason, earlier in the week. She said she was going to address these concerns. I believe they got called back into session regarding the census and all the redrawing those lines. So I did bring that to their attention. I just want to make sure, citizens know there are state and county roads that we have little, if any, control over. So we brought that to the attention of the state rep. In addition, this week, we were receiving complaints about the job that the railroad did at the railroad crossing at North Avenue. If you've gone over it, you realize it's like the Dukes of Hazzard going over that. So we also will let them know about that. And I just want everybody on the board to know that I did talk to the state rep about this. So
You should put that on Facebook because it just gets to be a problem. Especially in absolute Antioch. People like to just complain.
yeah, we learned. We will not engage.
Yeah, you gotta get in front of the
Yeah. So, oh yeah, we also did talk to her about the speeding problem, Ed. So we did mention that on, and
Oh yeah, there was a Tesla accident in front of Walmart today. We'll figure that.
Yeah.
Shocking.
yeah. So we have been addressing and trying to, and as we get more involved in that, trustee Bluthart is our liaison for the legislative stuff. So we're going to make that intro and hopefully move that stuff along. So I just want to let you guys know that. Any citizens wishing to address the board? Anybody on Zoom? All right. Consent agenda. There's 2 items on the consent agenda. Any of those items request to be removed? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Yeah, the approval of the August 11th, 2021 regular meeting minutes as presented, and then the approval of a resolution adopting the 2021 Tag Day schedule, which is, I believe, Knights of Columbus and the Lions Club Candy Days.
So move.
Second.
Motion by trustee Bluthart, second by trustee Pierce. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no, motion carries. First item on the regular business is consideration and approval of payments of accounts payable as prepared by staff. We need a motion in a second.
I move to approve accounts payable in the amount of $191,743.40.
Second, anyone?
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Peterson, a second by trustee Bluthart. Any discussion? Not, roll please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no, motion carries. Second item is consideration and approval of an emergency ordinance ratifying the mayoral declaration of emergency relating to coronavirus, ordinance 21-08-29. I need a motion in a second, please. Waiving the second reading, please.
Really? It's gonna die on the floor.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Peterson, second by trustee Pierce. Any discussion? All right, roll please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no, motion carries. Waiving the second reading. We also, next item, number 5, is consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing and providing for the issue of not to exceed $9 million general obligation refunding bonds, series 2021 of the Village of Antioch, to refund the village's outstanding waterworks and sewer revenue bond junior lien, series 2008, dated April 25th, 2008, and outstanding loan agreement with the Illinois EPA being the L17-0356 loan payable of 2007 to pay bond discount, bond interest, financing, and administrative expense, describing the details of said bonds, providing for the imposition of taxes sufficient to pay the same, and for the collection, segregation, and application of village waterworks and sewerage revenues to pay said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to Robert W. Baird and Company, ordinance 2108-30. Got all that? Trustee Administrator Keim?
So moved.
Waive the second reading.
Waive the second reading.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by trustee Peterson, second by trustee Pierce, waiving the second reading. Trustee Kimes, any discussion that we need to have on this?
Unless you would like a explanation for the public of what this is.
You can just tell them it's a refinance just to refinance to
Yeah.
save money.
Yep.
This is an existing IEPA loan, and this is a refinancing bond to lower the interest rate to save money over the existing term of the loan. We're not extending the term. We're estimating about a $400,000 savings over the course of the principal and interest payments for the remainder of the term. So it's really that simple. It's an effort to save taxpayers some money.
Perfect. Thank you. Any discussion from the trustees? I know we've discussed this matter a couple times already. Trustee Pierce?
No,
All right. Trustee Basic?
I'm fine with it.
Trustee Peterson?
I'm fine with it.
Trustee Bluthart?
Nope.
Trustee Berman?
I'm fine with it.
All right, roll call, please.
Pierce,
aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 voting yes, 0 no. Motion carries, waiving the second reading. Next item is consideration and approval of an ordinance amending Title 4 of the Municipal Code of Antioch regarding mobile food vehicles, ordinance number 21-07-23. Motion and a second.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Pierce, second by trustee Berman, is that waiving the second reading?
No,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
That's
He
it.
he would no waive this.
No,
He didn't
yeah.
waive the
So
second.
that's
reading.
a
yeah.
motion to accept the first reading of the
Yes,
ordinance.
yep, yep.
Yeah, he did me a favor.
Okay, so, discussion, trustee Pierce.
I'm really kind of uncomfortable with this. I understand the reasoning for it. I think it's just one more layer of bureaucracy, and I want to make sure that if we put this in place, that we have some sort of way of making the process smooth and easy for the applicants. But I'm really struggling with whether this is necessary or not. That's all I'll say.
Trustee Mason.
Well, we have trustees in here that say we should fine someone $500 if you shoot a firework off. And this is what? $100? What's the fine on this if you violate this? $100? $75. So it's $500 if you shoot a firecracker off. So all you gotta do is stay in business, sell a couple, 2, 3 more burritos. Fine don't matter. I get that. I get that. And the easement to the center of the street typically is about 60 feet. 60 feet to the center of the street from an easement. Yeah, okay. So you're talking, and I'm just gonna, I'm forgetting about the coffee shop. I'm just gonna use Mexican Paradise. So you're gonna put a taco truck out in front of there. And you can say 200 feet that they could do tacos. So you're gonna put a guy that's put his family's investment in a business, and you're gonna say, you could park a truck in a parking spot out there in front and sell tacos. He can sell them half price when you've got DoorDash that can deliver tacos, and they can deliver them to if you're sitting in the park watching fireworks, if you're sitting in your car at the library, anywhere. DoorDash will deliver anywhere. But nope, we're gonna sit there and say, nope, that's not good enough. We're gonna do taco trucks to sit down. And if fireworks, we're gonna allow taco trucks or lobster trucks or whatever trucks, and forget about people that are putting $2 million buildings in and spending $50,000 in property taxes, paying for our police officers. And I don't understand how we've got staff putting stuff to planning and zoning that they want to change the ability for a store owner to sit there and say, you can't sell your building to retail because they only can do sales tax. So any chiropractor, any attorney, any doctor that wants to get in downtown Main Street, they're going to be redlined, prohibited, because that's now in planning and zoning. So that never passed the board. So staff did that on their own. I don't know how staff gets this power. So that first bewilders me. So now you're going to put this ordinance in place. So forget about the business owners that mortgage their homes, their other businesses to build a building. You're going to say, hey, $50, you could put a truck. And on top of this, you're going to sit there and say, you can't play music. So something that's been a stable environment for 60 years, which is called an ice cream truck, that's gone because that's put in the language. You can't have an ice cream truck through here. No music. So there's going to be no more ice cream trucks, no Dennis the Menace. There's no music in a food truck. And if you're going to say that's not a food truck, well, then a taco truck can say, I got ice cream. I'm not a food truck. I got ice cream. So this is a flawed document. And to sit there and say, I'm only going to charge $50. Forget about the $2 million restaurant that's opening Monday. Everybody and to sit there and say, these antique stores want businesses come down. If you put these back by the theater or whatever you want to call that behind, or the fireworks going off, and that's going to sit there and bring people to downtown when the convenience of them don't have to get off their chairs to walk downtown to buy stuff. They're delusional. This is such an anti-business environment. This is crazy. I would never support something that's so anti-business that you're not going to have someone go to the Vegas, Mexican Paradise, the new Rivalry. What restaurant did I miss? Lakeside Restaurant, the new Station 51. You're gonna substitute all these nice restaurants, and we spending money and we're giving them for facade programs for trucks. Just doesn't make sense. I can't put common sense in this, so I would not be in support of this. And to take away music on an ice cream truck, it's a flawed document. And Chicago, their fine is $1,000 to $2,000 for a violation. And for us to have a $75 and not follow Chicago as a leader of being restrictive, and they're sitting there, we want our restaurants, we like our restaurants, and we're gonna have a $75 fine, and Chicago's $1,000 to $2,000, that's insanity. That's all I gotta say. I would never support a document like this.
Trustee Peterson?
There are a few things in this document that I'm not real happy with either, and I'm thinking that we should move it maybe back to the cow and go over it, tweak it more. Okay. thank you.
Trustee Bluthart?
No comment.
Trustee Berman?
I agree with Trustee Peterson, and I do agree with some of the stuff that Trustee Mason said, as far as it being too restrictive. I think, yeah, we need to get back on the cow. Be further discussed.
I see. Yeah, so if that's the consensus, I'd entertain a motion, a second to table it and move it back to the cow for discussion. Trustee Pierce?
Before we do that, and I'd be happy to do that, but I'd like to discuss a few points that are in here, just to help clarify this. These are the permitted locations for operations. Private property only with the approval of a property owner. Village owned property during special events approved by the village board. Public right of ways excluding Route 173, Route 83, which includes Main Street, and Route 59, which includes Lake Street, with prior approval of the village board. Without prior, that's kind of confusing there. Village owned property with prior annual approval from the village board. In addition, they would have the restrictions that would substantially obstruct right of way. They couldn't impair the movement of pedestrians or vehicles. They would pose a hazard to public safety, is adjacent to bus stops, taxi stands, and handicap loading zones. And there's a whole longer list of things going on here, but I want to be clear about where they could operate. That aside, I have talked to several homeowners associations who absolutely deeply appreciate having the mobile trucks come and operate within the HOA areas and fundraise for them and donate money. So as we talk about this, let's keep in mind where these are actually allowed to operate, and also that they do serve a function in the village, and we can find a way to make them coexist, because I go to a lot of places where they do coexist. But I do think that, as Trustee Peterson says, there are some flaws in this, and as Trustee Masick says, the fines may not be sufficient.
Let me ask a question of the trustees. Since the food trucks are gonna come here now and there's zero regulation, which, is fine, the status quo. Would we rather see the attorneys and staff come back with an ordinance just relating to the permit fees and work through the rest of the details over time, so we know which trucks are coming in or allowed to come in? Or do we want all the detail in this ordinance? Trustee Pierce?
I think we should take it back. The cow.
I think you get a policy, because what disturbed me is some gentleman phoned in and says, hey, we gotta have territory. I'm Tony Soprano, whoever that guy was. And that's scary. That's kind of scary that they want one subdivision or two subdivisions. And I get the homeowners association, the fundraisers. I get that point. I don't get a point where we're gonna park them in the municipal parking lots. And, you know, I'm not gonna be on this board forever. And I gotta protect the businesses that have a 30-year investment in their mortgages.
So I would entertain a motion and a second to table this discussion and remove this and put it back on the cow for further discussion at one of the next two meetings.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion to refer to committee.
So I have a motion by trustee Peterson, a second by trustee Pierce. Roll call, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason.
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 voting yes, 0 no, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consideration and approval of a resolution approving a facade grant request from Antioch Cyclery located at 890 Main Street, Resolution 21-61. Mr. Garrigan, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This matter, sir, comes back before you for formal consideration. As you recall, at our last call meeting, we looked at a proposed facade grant for 890 Main Street, which is now the bicycle shop. This historic building is in need of some substantial facade renovation. I think we kind of walked you through the last consideration. Mr. Emery Patterson walked you specifically through some of the really drastic need for improvements, facade restoration, kind of walking through the PowerPoint. Yeah, so. And this is the historical appearance of the building, which probably goes back to 1910. We get a sense of the historical appearance of the building. It's actually a significant building on Main Street. This is the current appearance of the building. Obviously, it's been modified substantially since its original construction. The applicant is proposing to restore the original facade to its historical appearance by removing the paint. Removing the paint and restoring the window system. The window system is currently in very poor condition. It's in a very drastic need of replacement. In addition, the actually southern elevation itself, directing your attention to the screen, you can see there are substantial water damage. So if you have any specific questions as it relates to the actual proposal, I'm going to have Mr. Patterson walk you through the actual proposal for modifications or restoration of this historic building. The overall project itself is substantial. The overall proposed restoration cost would be approximately $135,000. The applicant's proposed facade grant would be approximately $67,000. So this would be the second largest facade grant that we've approved as of this date. But in view of the size of the building, in view of the extensive work that has to be done in the building, staff does support this request. In addition, this is perhaps one of the major retailers in downtown Antioch. As I've already outlined, the applicants already invested significant funds to renovate the inside of the building. So from an economic development perspective, we think this is an important project. From a historic preservation perspective, we think this is an important project. You've already seen some of the current restorations of facade grant. We're slowly working on each building along Main Street. I think we're receiving a lot of positive feedback for some of the improvements that have already been done in existing business buildings. So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have on this proposal. There are two conceptual drawings that just gives you a conceptual concept of what the final appearance of the building would be, which would be consistent with its original approximately circa 1910 appearance. So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or have Mr. Patterson from Emery Construction answer any questions. Again, Emery Construction is should be well known in Antioch. They constructed that rivalry house, and they, again, do extensive restoration of buildings along the North Shore. With that, I'll conclude my staff report.
Discussion, trustee Pierce?
Do we need a motion first?
Yes,
I'll
we
make a
do.
motion to approve waiving second reading.
Second.
Motion by trustee Pierce waiving second reading, second by trustee Peterson. Now discussion.
Ever since I've lived here, that's been the cyclery shop. And that's for quite a while. And some of you have lived here longer than I have, and it's been a cyclery shop, if I remember correctly. To me, it's part of the heart of Antioch. And it's part of the soul of Antioch to have the cyclery shop there. And I can't imagine us not stepping up and helping him make it even better than it is, especially, I mean, it may surprise you if I do ride a bike once in a while, and I'm traveling all over the place to go find places to ride, and more bikers are out there, and they're going to towns to ride. They're going to towns because of the bike shops, and we need to not only help this guy, we need to find a way to get the bikers to come here. And having a nice bike shop is the first step.
Thank you. Trustee Mason?
I think this is necessary. I bought lots of bikes from them. You know, to buy $200 bike and a $500 seat. You know, I'm very sensitive.
Trustee Peterson?
I have a question for Mr. Garrigan. Michael, I'll just tell you a quick little thing that happened to me this week. I wanted to, actually yesterday, I wanted to go downtown and buy a couple of birthday gifts. And I tried to get into several stores and couldn't, they were locked. They didn't open. The beginning of the week, especially the first 3 days of the week, our stores don't open. This cyclery shop does, though. However, I'm thrilled. Could we, before we give a facade grant, could we put a little box on there that we check how often they're open? If we're giving facade grants, and I think we should. I love building the downtown. But in order, we're spending an awful lot of money to bring foot traffic to downtown. And I don't care how many people come downtown to shop. If the stores aren't open, that's not going to help. So we need to work together with these businesses. And before we give facade grants, I'd like to see their hours and how they're open.
No, I think that's actually an excellent idea. We've actually been talking about maybe making a few modifications of the facade program in the future to make it more of a carrot program to really promote street life. And you can have a great facade, but if you're not open, it's useless.
It's useless.
So
But
I
I
think
did
that's a
notice-
great suggestion, and I think that probably foreshadows some changes to the program, not only to promote defined hours, but also maybe to promote certain types of uses. So with that, be more than happy to maybe bring that back in.
That'd be great.
In a couple months or so.
Okay, that'd be great. And I did notice that they're open, so I'm all for this.
Trustee Bluthart?
No comment.
Trustee Berman?
No comments.
Roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the village administrator to purchase one 2020 police vehicle, a Dodge Charger, for $30,389 from Antioch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, as well as the purchase of an extended warranty and rust proofing from Antioch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in the amount of $1,951, and emergency lighting from Ultra Strobe in the amount of $6,000. Total cost $38,340. Resolution 21-62.
So move.
Motion trustee Bluthart,
Second.
second trustee Peterson. Chief Gutcha.
This is a relatively routine purchase for us. This is just part of our scheduled vehicle replacement program. This vehicle is designed to replace a current 2007 Chevy Impala that's got over 150,000 miles. It's tired and it needs more work than it's worth putting into it. This is a budgeted expense and it was planned and anticipated.
Thank you. Any discussion, trustee Pierce? No. Trustee Masek,
No, it's gonna be orange, right?
trustee Peterson,
No, no comment.
trustee Luther?
No.
Trustee Berman?
No comment.
Thank you. Roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason.
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes,
Luther,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 voting yes, 0 no, motion carries. Last item on the regular business agenda is consideration and approval of an ordinance granting a special use for an electronic message board from United Methodist Church, PZB 19-12, ordinance 21-03-31. I'll entertain. I'll entertain a motion and a second, waiving the second reading.
Yeah, I'm just making a motion waiving the second reading and this is overdue.
Trustee Masek, motion waiving the second reading. Do I have a second?
second.
Second, trustee Peterson. So
Thank
Mr.
you,
Garrigan.
Your Honor. This is really a housekeeping matter. As you recall, a year and a half ago, United Methodist Church came in for an EMB sign, proposed EMB sign. There was a really extensive discussion. It went back and forth between the planning commission and the village board. The planning commission did not support this, but the cut to the chase, generally the village board back on March 3rd, 2020, did direct the village attorney to draft an ordinance. They did support this proposed EMB sign. As you recall, very briefly, the current ordinance does not allow EMB signs in the downtown sign district. The village board, at least in March 2020, did support special use or basically relief or a variance from that policy. So there was support. When the actual ordinance came back, there was some discussion about having further discussion at the planning commission for a text amendment. But at this point, the applicant is now ready to proceed. They were actually having some internal discussions about the ultimate final design. The final design is actually in your packet. There is actually a proposed masonry base to the overall building, overall sign itself. The overall sign would comply with our EMB requirements. It's 17 square feet. So staff, again, is recommending approval of this EMB sign based on village board direction in March of 2020. So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Unfortunately, the applicant's not actually here this evening, but maybe I can speak for them. They're in a position, they've outlined they'd like to start to proceed with installing the sign in September. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So before, oh, okay, we had somebody online that wanted to speak. I don't know if it was the applicant, but they lowered their hand. Okay, so discussion, trustee Pierce.
No discussion. I'm glad they are putting in a brick base to make it look a little bit nicer.
Trustee Masek,
Nope, this is well overdue. This tells the story of what the church does because they'll be able to put their extra events if they do AA, divorce care, whatever, more than just worship service.
trustee Peterson.
Michael, I have one question. We were very strict with Anastasia's with their sign. Are we going to be just as strict with this? There's going to be no flashing. It's going to be, the lights are going to be lower.
Correct. There are our ordinance and what we'll do, our ordinance actually has very restrictive language about EMB signs. So they would be restricted to one color, a uniform color, either white or red. I think they've identified on white with a background. There would be no illumination or no videos, anything like that. So they, they've assured us, but we have a very restrictive ordinance. Again, for the record, the Anastasia sign on 173 was approved prior to the adoption of our current ordinance. So hopefully you'll never see that type of design again in Antioch.
Okay. And are we going to restrict how late the sign can be on like we did with Anastasia?
We can incorporate a restriction in the amendment if you allow us to amend the ordinance on its face, or we can put a restriction depending on your desire. So I can work with the church for a restriction, and I'm sure we can come up with a reasonable time. whether it's 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I mean, it's not a business, obviously. so-
No, it's not. No, of course not. Okay. That's all I have to say.
Trustee Bluthart,
No comment.
trustee Berman.
No comment.
All right, before we do a roll call, any other discussion on this side? All right, roll please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason.
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 voting yes, 0 no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the administrator's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just thought I'd give a verbal report that associated with our bond refunding, the village did a rating call with S&P. Our attorneys were all on the call. I was on the call. Joy was on the call. Our FA was on the call. Rather lengthy call that goes on and on about our financials and gets very detailed. I wish I could report that we were upgraded. I did make a serious effort to try to get us upgraded from double A minus to double A. However, we sustained double A minus, so I just thought I'd report to the board our rating call. I thought went very well. However, we're going to maintain a double A minus rating with this bond sale with a stable outlook. I can provide a copy of that rating if you'd like to see it. But the main issue at hand is really our unfunded pension obligation, and that seems to be the major sticking point with the rating agencies to improve our bond rating. So just wanted to give you an idea. And would you like me to forward the rating to you guys? That's all I had this evening, Your Honor.
One more item. Do you want to, just a quick update to the public that I think prior to our next meeting, the road program will be starting?
Yes, and I forgot the date. That's
September 7th, I think. So
September 7th. So yeah, while I was away, we had the pre-con for the road program, and contractor will be mobilizing. We will put out a map of the roads to be resurfaced, as well as notice to the public on Facebook, so the public's aware. We usually will go door to door. We do have some in the business area on Hillside. I've spoken to owner of Anastasia's about the paving in front of there and how it might impact him. So we'll keep in close communication as we do the road paving and let people know where equipment's going to be and when things are going to happen. We'll do the best we can to keep the residents informed about the road paving. So you'll see that happen next couple of weeks.
thank you.
My salad office.
Yeah, we're going to pave Hillside right in front of you. So
Jeez.
we'll try not to put you out of business.
Thank you. Village clerk, any report? Okay. Any trustee reports other than the ones that were received? Trustee Pierce?
Just real quickly from the police department, the new squad cameras are operational and up and running. They also have their body cams, and they have some IT issues to resolve. And they've done training with some of the officers, and they expect them to be fully operational within 2 to 3 weeks. They've attended training on the new community notification system, and that should be helpful. And they've also, the PD has gone into the homeowners associations and visited with them and started meeting with them to help with community outreach and be more proactive. Commander Findle went to a New Haven event to discuss all the excitement out there that they're continuously having. And several of our officers attended a recent vigil for Officer Ella French, who was unfortunately killed in Chicago. And then two of our officers, Officers Clem and Hurtis, represented the village of Antioch down in Chicago for the funeral. And for their coffee thing where they sat on the roof and made money for the Special Olympics, they did better than last year and they made $5,300. So kudos to them. But I just want to take one more opportunity to remind everybody, lock your doors and lock your doors, car doors and house doors.
Thank you, trustee Pierce. And thank you, Amy, for working on those cameras and getting those up and running for the vehicles. All right. Trustee Masek,
Mine was emailed.
Okay.
Everybody.
anybody else? I know we had a couple email reports. If not, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for property disposition with
And I got a staff. I'd like to discuss staff.
a staff item with no further business. I'd also like, I'm not sure procedure how to do this. I would also like to invite the Mr. Shaughnessy, from the township into executive session.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for pending litigation, real estate discussions, and to include trustee Shaughnessy and staffing
And staff,
for,
yep.
for trustee Mason.
Second,
All right, motion by trustee Pierce, second by trustee Peterson. Roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson,
yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no. Motion carries. We'll move into executive session. Again, no further business to take place after executive.
I'll slow it down for you.
Shut the hell up.